you want to save America, you have to shrink Washington. The fourth branch of government is making laws, enacting laws, and punishing people without congressional authority. There are over 1,200 unauthorized departments, agencies, and programs drawing $500 billion a year of funding. That must end.
Well, that was Arizona Congressman Andy Biggs making a powerful statement concerning the House Freedom Caucus's economic plan to shrink the swamp that is Washington, D.C. Now, can this all get done? And will more Republicans, including Speaker Kevin McCarthy, join in? We'll get the answers from the man who you just saw, Arizona Congressman Andy Biggs. Congressman, great to have you on the program. Wonderful to see you, and we appreciate you being here on Saturday Agenda. You and the Freedom Caucus are working right now to stop the budget that was put forward by President Biden. That plan that you're proposing first goes after Biden's student loan forgiveness program and a lot more after that. Give us a little bit of a synopsis about how you plan, again, to shrink the deficit.
Well, Kilmeny, thanks. It's good to be with you again. And I'll tell you that we have a structural problem where we spend over $100 billion more every month than we bring in. And a lot of that's going right into the executive branch and the bureaucracy. And so what we said is, look, let's claw back, say, $400 billion in the student loan forgiveness that's inequitable and unfair. Let's go ahead and bring back claw back $325 billion in subsidies to Green New Deal plans of this president. We've already introduced and passed out of the House legislation that claws back $80 billion on IRS agents. And when you start getting up there, you can see pretty easily you're going to start getting close to $1 trillion. And the plan would be that you have real cuts. You have to have real cuts up front. You can't wait and push those cuts off any longer. And if you do that, you have a chance to, let's just say for one instance, Kilmeny, for 1 year, just 1 year, if we said we're going to go through it without a single month of deficit spending in a month. I think we can do that. And nothing we're asking for, I think, is outrageous or crazy. It's just good fiscal planning. And we're hoping that our colleagues will join us.
Republicans and Democrats clearly have two very different visions for how to balance the budget. Talk to me a little bit about the potential for consensus within the GOP party, because this clearly was a sticking point when it came to the demands from many outliers in the speaker's race to put their support behind Kevin McCarthy for House Speaker, was that it needed to balance the budget back to 2022 spending levels. How do you do that? Can Republicans in the GOP House agree on how to do that?
Well, I hope so. There's a consensus, I think, that we've got to do something. And we said, well, we didn't even go radical and say go back to 2019 pre-COVID levels. We just said, now that COVID's over, we said, let's go back to 2022 levels. Why we continue to increase? The Biden administration grew some departments and agencies by 30% last year. So you start saying, you start ratcheting down. And we know that some of my colleagues that are on the other end of the spectrum in the Republican conference have already said that they agree with us on things like attacking the bureaucracy and the bureaucratic spending. Kilman, you've got bureaucracies, different programs. I'll give you one that's in the State Department, $12 billion that Joe Biden put in for international climate change programs. Those aren't even in the United States of America, Kilmeny. So I think those are the types of things as we get to some line items that we're going to get consensus on. And I don't think there's much discussion. I think everybody tends to agree on the student loan forgiveness program being unconstitutional and unfair.
I want to turn now to the January 6th footage that Speaker McCarthy exclusively released to Fox News host Tucker Carlson. You've actually sent out a formal statement encouraging Speaker McCarthy to release all of that footage so Americans can make up their own mind. What are your thoughts about maybe not perhaps the way that this was framed by Tucker Carlson, but about the necessity for everybody to have a full picture of what happened that day?
Yeah, I'm a big believer that for 2 years we've been listening to the Democrats shape a narrative, and I call that the yin, and the half of the yin yang. They called everybody an armed insurrectionist, and all they would show and focus on were the very few people, and it was just a few compared to the overall people that were around that day, that got in, and they were thuggish and they were violent, so the Democrats crafted that. And by the way, they've taken away the due process rights of those, and I believe everybody gets due process. You have to have due process to be a rule of law nation and have freedom. But on the other hand, though, you have to be able to see what else was going on. Nobody can contextualize this unless you see the whole picture. So I think, and by the way, I've been asking and hope to, I had 3 different appointments that we couldn't quite get it done, but I've been asking to see these videotapes. I've also been asking to see transcripts of these secret depositions and interrogations that went on. I want to see those. And I think we should release those to the public. So you and I think you're a fair-minded person, and you'll say, well, this was good, this was bad, just like I think I will.
Yeah, absolutely. Arizona Congressman Andy Biggs, great to see you. We appreciate you being here.
Hey, thanks, Comey. Good to be with you.